Happy Valentine's Day to all my stitching friends out there in Flosstube land. And happy Valentine's Day to my dad and my siblings. I'm not sure if they're going to watch this, but if they do, happy Valentine's Day. So today is February 14th, 2023. I am Vintage Threads and Samplers with Dr. Janelle Meredith. I changed my name a few months ago when we were in transition, and I just felt like I wanted to do that when I was starting to focus on 2023 business plan and what I'm hoping to do this year. So it just made sense for it to all come together. It's been 7 months since I've done a video, and I've been very frustrated about that. I think I had shared with you all, we had sold our house. We were allowed to stay there for a month, and then we went to an Airbnb in Boulder for about almost 6 weeks. And then our house was done, and we closed, and we were able to get moved in. And it's taken us 5 months to unpack a gazillion boxes, to figure out rooms, to figure out just like everything. You all know this with moving. It's a lot of work. So, and then just life happens. Medical issues, construction issues. I had to come back and do some things that they didn't do before closing. And so I was frustrated, and I was just really wanting to get back and do this video and announce the giveaways and just share with you. And I also wanted to watch your videos. I haven't watched any floss tubes in 7 months, and I haven't bought anything. Well, I did order some Follow Red thread from Evertote, but I haven't bought any new patterns. I've stayed away on purpose because I really just needed to focus on what was happening within our family, and then just some just getting moved in. So we'll go ahead and get started. So first of all, in this frustration, patience is not a virtue of mine. And I was like, oh, doggone it. I want to do a video today. Nope, not going to happen. So a scripture came to mind. God reminded me of this scripture. And so I'm going to share it with you to get started. It's out of Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. To everything, I'm going to read it because I don't have it memorized. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And so again, just busy times, and just it's come together now. And I just needed to be patient, and this is the right time. And so I'm really thankful. This passage in the Bible, I love it. It just made me stop and say, okay, there is a season to everything in our lives. And right now we're in a season of moving and just getting resettled, moving up here into Denver, new neighborhood, change of, everything when you move to a different city. So we're moved in. We're really enjoying the house. This room is a bedroom, but we turned it into my craft office room. And maybe next video I'll show you the other, the walls here that have samplers, and then my bookcase is full of samplers. And then this cabinet behind me is where I put all my antique sewing machines. I really needed something sturdy to set them inside. I thought I was going to have them on an open shelf, and then that just didn't work out when we were putting this room together. So loving it, enjoying it, and just all the other rooms in the house we've been put together too. My husband's been busy painting. The white walls were driving him crazy, and so we've picked some really nice soft colors on the main floor. He'll start painting here on the second floor. I don't know when, maybe this fall. Right now, we got the main floor painted, and then we've got to look at landscaping the backyard. So still lots of work to do, but that's all good, and we're really happy. So let's talk about updates. So let's see. In the month of June and July, I was able to just, mainly in, June, I think this was my last video. And then in July, we were just kind of hanging out. So I got to watch quite a few new floss tubes that are new to me. So the first one is Priscilla and Chelsea. Love that mother-daughter team. They do great work, and they've been around for 5 years, but I've never seen their videos, and I wasn't aware of them. And now I am. I mean, I watched one, and then I went back and watched their first 6, and then a video came up about coffee and tea dye and linen. I shared with you before, I kind of knew what I was doing from some instructions like 20 years ago, but they did a very complete video with types of coffee, types of tea, the big boiling pot, and how long they let the linen sit in the mixture. And so that was fun. I went out and got a whole bunch of Monaco and tea dye, coffee stained a bunch of linen, and started to kit up some things I hadn't kitted up before. So that was fun. Really enjoy them. And then I watched Mama Loves You GB with Michelle. And I love her. She's just adorable. I love her accent. She's got a great sense of humor. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, someone had recommended her to me, and I just hadn't time to go find her. So in the month of July, I was like, oh, here she is. So I watched several of her videos, and again, another video popped up about dyeing linen. Well, it was with RIT dye, and so you could get the taupe colors, the grays. She was trying to get to murky, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. So here I am, the mad scientist, color scientist of linen. I don't know what you call it. And so I went out and bought a bunch more linen. Bought the RIT dye. I had mason jars, and I'm mixing up my potions, and I'm dyeing linen, hanging it all out on the back porch. And then I ironed it all, laid it out, and tried to match it with some patterns I had, and then some new patterns I had bought back in July. I'll insert some pictures here just showing you. It's kind of comical when you think about it. You know, we get so excited about our project and taking tons of pictures of laying out everything about what it's going to look like. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching Michelle and learning from her. And I did purchase her Little Girl series. I haven't stitched any of them. I bought them. I have them. I just really want to support all of you out there that are like me, new in this journey of cross stitch, designing new patterns, and sharing our love of cross stitch. So the next person, and my husband was really funny. He was like watching me do all this and making me a little clothesline in the garage when I didn't think I should have it out in the sun. And he said, "Well, you should sell this on Etsy." I'm like, no, I'm not a professional. This is just for me. So it's pretty cute. Then I found Lori Holt. I can't remember how maybe just because I was watching new videos, she popped up. I've heard her name before. I've heard people reference her in their videos, but I just never had put it together. So here we are, watching Lori Holt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. Enjoyed watching her. She's really smart. I love her organization. I'm taking notes, tons of notes when I was watching her videos. And I liked her schedule. So at the end of the year, you want to get done with your projects. And how are you going to get there if you just are, I don't know. I've always been a monogamous stitcher. So when people talk about doing Sunday stitching, or I'm going to work on this one night and this another night, I just couldn't get there because I'm like, well, I'm working on this and I want to get it done and I want to get it to the framer. But it made sense when she laid it out. And so I've written down her idea, her schedule. I've made my own schedule, and here in a few months, I'm hoping to get into that schedule and try it for a few months and see how it works for me. So I really liked her red wall sampler idea. Tried to do that here behind me. It kind of didn't come together. And as I was doing my sampler walls in the house, I have one in my bedroom. I have some samplers on a credenza. I have several samplers, small ones, put in the bookshelf here. I have a couple put in this bookshelf off a sitting room off our bedroom. So I've kind of have them scattered. And at one point I'm like, I'm going to do them all on this wall. And it just looked kind of messy. I know it's going to look messy. It's not going to look perfect. So as I was trying to organize how I wanted to do a sampler wall, I thought, no, just stop. You're going crazy. So I put this wall together. I really like some of my, that antique print. It's called Jack Roses. I've never heard that before. Found that several years ago. It's in the original frame and glass. I took it to the framer and they just cleaned it up and put a new back on it. And I think I've told you about some of these rescue samplers that I have and then that antique one that I found last spring, maybe last summer. And then that's just a wood sign I found that I love it. So I just threw it up there. So anyway, and I'm hoping in the future to show you my sampler walls and have kind of organized them throughout the house. I love it. Kind of crazy about samplers. We all are, aren't we? So, and again, I haven't gone out to see new floss tubes. I haven't kept up with all my favorite ones. Again, for like the last 7 months, I've just been focused elsewhere. But I will tell you, I'm so amazed at all the talent and creativity in this stitching community. And I'm glad that we support each other the way we do. It's just amazing. And I love it. I'm glad to be a part of it. And I hope that I can share some of my creativity here in the next few months. So once we moved out of the house and went to the Airbnb, I took this big, I don't know, storage box full of all the things I had kitted with all my newly dyed linen. I act like I'm going to do one a night. I mean, I'm a slow stitcher. I don't know what I was thinking. Here I am carting it into the Airbnb. And again, life happens. I just couldn't even touch it. And that was frustrating to me, not to be able to just sit down and stitch. And we're living in someone else's home, right? It's a rental house. So that was just awkward. So instead, I got on my computer and I went ahead and bought Max Stitch and started looking at their templates. I had those resource books that I had bought and thinking about, well, if I'm going to do my own designs, what does it look like? How do you use Max Stitch? How do you have a copyright? How do you have a business name? And that's when I changed my name or added my name to this Flosstube channel. And I think I've shared before that I really want to tap into my heritage, and I've been trying to find antique Mexican samplers. I've found them on eBay and Etsy to buy for like $2,000. Not going to do that. I've seen pictures on Pinterest, and again, I've reached out to my family. I think I told you about going to the Denver Art Museum and just seeing all those beautiful, very intricate design samplers, old samplers, antiques. So with Max Stitch, I was like, well, how do I do this? How do I design a template? What does it look like? What do I want it to look like? And so I've just had to take this new approach of I want to honor my grandparents, I want to honor my parents, my grandmother on my mother's side, and in this unpacking, I came across a lot of old photographs of my mom's dad, her mother. I mean, they're adorable. I just love all these old black and white pictures. And then also came across some from my dad's side, and I'm like, okay, this is my family. So how do I honor them? How do I make a sampler that depicts maybe their life? And so I've got some ideas going. We'll see how it comes together. I did do a design that was kind of two designs that are kind of fun. I finished one of them, and it's at the framer. I'm just waiting every day for them to call me to come pick it up. And then I'm working on my second one right now. It's kind of big, and I'm like, oh, why did I make this so big? So I'm going to get that one done. I'll get it framed, and then again, once it's all put together, we can package it, and I'll sell it on Etsy, sell those two on Etsy. Now, my husband used to sell all his prints of his artwork on Etsy, so he's pretty good about knowing how to do all of that, and I'll be leaning into him for help and just kind of figuring out how you set up your business. So big plans for this year, hoping it all comes together, praying it's the journey I'm supposed to take. I do believe it is, and so I'm pretty excited. Got a lot of support for it. And then I did want to just tell you real quick, when we were unpacking, I think we all have heard of Marie Kondo and how she says, declutter your house. And my kids think I'm a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder. I'm really not. I just love all my stuff. So you're supposed to hold these, your stuff in your hands, and if it brings you joy, you keep it. If it doesn't, it goes in the Goodwill box. And I'm like, okay, let me see. I tried that. Didn't work. I'm like, no, I want to keep that. I'm sure there's a place for it here in the house. Oh, I got to keep that. I'm sure I'm going to hang that over there. Oh, I got to keep that. So it was fun. our decor we're leaning toward is more French country farmhouse. The house we left was modern farmhouse, and my husband's kind of sad because he did a lot of paintings in that realm, and they're not going to work now with my new decor. He's like, well, what am I going to do with all my paintings? Well, let's think about that. So I did do it in the loft. I did a gallery wall of 2 gallery walls, 3 actually, of his paintings, so that we can showcase them. And it's not really French country decor. It's more just the relaxing room. The entertainment center's there that he built, and we can watch TV and play games and do all kinds of things. And so we're showcasing his artwork, so he's not left out. So anyway, maybe I'll show those too in the future. Lots of good stuff to come. So now I want to talk about the good giveaways, and I also want to take a moment to say thank you to all my subscribers. I have 600. It's pretty exciting to me. And I want to thank you for hitting the subscribe button, for all your kind comments. I went back this week and kind of just re-looked at that, and just I'm humbled and I feel privileged to be a part of this. So I did do the giveaways. I used, what's the name of it? True Random Number Service, www.random.org, to do the selection process. Now, I learned about that from Nicole's Needleworks. She had done something, and it's been a while. I was looking at other floss tubers to see how they did their giveaways, and I think I told you Nicole's someone I have followed for about 6 years. Every month she would put out a video, and I just stayed true to following her, and that's how I learned about all the rest of you. But so with that, I was like, okay, I'm going to use this service that Nicole did. And it was very easy to use, and I didn't have a long list of names to do selection, a small sample size, and so that made it pretty easy to do. So here we go. How Great Thou Art. The person in the random selection, Rhonda W., is a name that popped up to receive this sampler. So I'm excited. I'll reach out to her and let her know. I'm just going to say first names and not their last names. 1837 Crown was a giveaway. I love this sampler. Haven't done it. I've got it kitted and ready. Angela S. was the name that came up in the random selection to receive that. Peace to My Friend, Modern Folk Embroidery. I just love Jacob's stuff. I say that every time, as if everybody doesn't know that. Judy D. One was the name selected to receive that pattern. My Big Toe. I say this for every sampler. I love this one. Books of the Bible. It's beautiful. It's hanging in my bedroom. Lynn W. won that one. Her name was selected to receive that. Off the Chart, and that's right here behind me, framed. This was such a fun one to do, and I did it in green, but it says you should. This doesn't look blue to me. It says it was done in blue, and I think you could do it any color you want to. So Carla T. was the name selected to receive that, and then Cedar Hill Country Measurement Sampler. This is such a fun one. Deborah W. I didn't say any last names, did I? Is the person that whose name came up in the random selection to receive that. So I will reach out to these stitchers and let them know and get their address. I can get those in the mail. Very excited to do that giveaway. I have another grouping. So in the unpacking, I have a lot. I have a huge collection. It's embarrassing, honestly. But I love them all, and I somehow think I'm going to stitch every design in every book. I have a basket over here of all my kitted stuff. I have 2 under-the-bed storage units full of books and linen. And so, I don't know. I feel like I should do another giveaway and just stop it. Just be generous. Let people have them that really want them and will probably stitch them. Unlike me, holding on to something forever. However, I have a story here to tell you about holding on to something forever. So I'm going to talk about my finished samplers. So back in the end of June, 1st of July, I had done my video, and then I was watching Kim, the Contented Stitcher. And she was going to start Charity for All for her 4th of July sampler. And I like almost fell out of my chair. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have that one. Here it is, Charity for All. And put it right here. So Kim was doing this, and she was doing a stitch along, and you could join her. And I thought, oh, well, being a slow stitcher, I don't know if I should join her. But I pulled it out of my collection, and I bought this pattern back in 2008, and it shows that it was copyrighted in 2008. My mother was in the hospital in Wichita, Kansas, and my sister and I were there to see her, and we went to Heart's Desire, the needlework shop in Wichita, Kansas, and it was on the wall. The model was on the wall, and it was a lot smaller, and I just loved it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take that. And I think we all do this when we go to our local needlework shops or whenever we're out traveling and find a needlework shop. I'll take that, and I want that model, and do you have the fabric and the thread, and we buy this stuff and we bring it home, and we're going to do it someday. And so when I think about that, I'm like, wow, 2008, I have held on to this forever. And it was nice to see, I mean, Kim was going to do this, and I thought, well, that's a great idea. This would be a great one to do for the 4th of July. So I took my newly tea-dyed coffee stain Monaco, and then the thread colors I used, I didn't use the colors, the silk that they suggested. I used Weeks Dye Works Molasses, Weeks Dye Works Whiskey, DMC 09, which is like a dark cocoa, and DMC 520, which is a green. And so I'm going to insert a picture here. I got this stitched up. I just love it. And then I had an old antique frame that I picked up months ago at a shop. And I just, whenever I see something I really like, I'm like, that might be good for a cross-stitch project. I don't know which cross-stitch project. I just think it might work. So that one definitely worked. And so when I insert the picture here, I'll show you it's in this old gold frame. And then where I have it placed in the house, we have this little nook, sitting area off our bedroom to sit and read. And the library there of books is sitting there. And so it's on top of the cabinets. But I want to read this to you, and I'm not going to cry. So if I say that right, I won't cry. Okay. Charity for all. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. March 4th, 1865, Abraham Lincoln, the second inaugural address. And so I'm really happy that Kim brought that forth, and I'm really glad I was able to get it stitched and framed. Just love it. Okay, the second one I'm going to talk about is Better to Dwell. I think I told you guys, I don't know, I don't know why it makes me laugh. It just does. Better to Dwell. It's about being a quarrelsome wife. I'm really not a quarrelsome wife. But this was one of my whips that I shared in my previous videos. It's a Sunday Stitches. I got it finished, and I had this gold frame that framed my French rooster. But I took it out because in the last house we were doing a different farmhouse theme, and so I reframed that French rooster differently. So I've had this frame just kind of sitting around for a few years. So when I finished Better to Dwell, I'm looking through my stuff, and I'm like, oh, do I have a frame? Do I have to go take it to the framers? Can I find something at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Home Goods? Anyway, this frame was perfect. It fit perfect in there. I was able to stretch it, put it together myself, and it's sitting on our bedroom credenza along with our wedding photograph, a picture of Kevin and I when we were dating. I don't know if you guys remember these at the carnivals or at the malls, those little photo booths where you can go in and take a picture of yourselves, you and your boyfriend or husband or whoever, you just take those self pictures in those photo booths. So we have this picture from when we were dating. I'm sure this was done in Dodge City, Kansas, where we met at the mall, maybe in a photo booth. And so Kevin looks like he's strangling me, and I thought, oh, that's perfect. We've kept that framed forever because I think that's how he is. Just strangle her sometimes. So anyway, that's sitting there, and then our 40th, a photograph of our 40th anniversary when we were in Vancouver. Our daughters sent us there as a gift, so that's really special. So anyway, on the credenza sits this framed Better to Dwell, and I'm going to insert a picture here. I think it turned out perfect, and it's just kind of a fun little display for us. And then the last one I'm going to share with you is Peaceful Kingdom. In my previous videos, I was showing you guys, this is one of my whips. It's by Little Robin Designs. When the queen is happy, there is peace in the kingdom. And when I saw this, I think I saw it on maybe Teresa Vinette's website. I think that's where I ordered it from. I just couldn't wait to do it. And so again, I got it done. And it really makes me happy because I have a queen shelf. I was a queen in high school. We have the American GI Forum chapter in our local town, and every year they would raise money for scholarships to send Mexican American kids to college, just to help improve skills and learning. They were all about education. And in this scholarship every year, they also had a queen, and they did a big, what's the word I want to use, event at the state level. I'm sure you go on to nationals. So my mother, of course she did. She had me run for queen. I'm like, okay, whatever, Mom. It's to raise money. And you're supposed to have a talent. I don't have any talent. I think my mom enrolled me. I remember her enrolling me in baton classes, twirling batons, to do that with the marching band. And I was always dropping the baton. So that didn't really go anywhere. And as far as beauty queen, that really didn't go anywhere either. But I did win. So I have a queen shelf. On my shelf is a photograph of me it's a professional photograph, in my red velvet robe with my tiara on my head. I had a trophy. I can't find it now. So anyway, this cross-stitch fabric I thought was just perfect. It could be on my queen shelf. So that's where it sits. It's a fun one. And I think that's all I wanted to share about finished framed projects, samplers. And let's see, I went through the giveaways. I went through my new Flosstubes. And I think that was it. I'm really happy to be here with all of you. I'm looking forward to now, every evening when I'm doing some stitching, I can start catching up on all my favorite people out there. You all know who you are. I've listed you in my previous videos. And I also want to support any new people. So I did notice last night there's someone who had their number one. And I know what that feels like when you do your number one. You're like, oh, do I even know what I'm doing? So I'm going to look that up and watch that stitcher and support her, support everyone, really, all of us. And I look forward to sharing with you about my new samplers that I'm hoping to sell on Etsy. And I want to say again, thank you to my subscribers. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.